Hello, my name is Alexander Shelly, and I will be presenting on the cost estimate and material specifications. From the beginning, our group knew that we might not be able to reach a maximum target price of $300 due to a rise in material costs over the past couple of years. Even under these circumstances, the group thought of ways to reduce the cost to satisfy minimal living conditions. Our rationale was this. If amenities were only partially provided to the occupant, people should still be able to live in the house while being sheltered by materials that can last for at least 50 years before deteriorating substantially. We managed to keep within the ballpark of $300 for the total cost of the house, and our grand total was $310.70. For our initial house model, totaling $310, we chose to use wooden pallets, plywood, nails, 1 foot by 1 foot windows, sealant membrane, 4x4 studs, and a plastic bucket for water. The wooden pallets are used for the roof, walls, foundation, and flooring, while the nails are used to secure each section of wood together. The sealant is used for waterproofing and weatherproofing the roof, while the 4x4 studs are used to frame and support the building and the roof. One piece of plywood is cut to size and is used as a door, while the excess from that door cutout is reused as siding to cover the exterior of the home and the roof. The bucket is used to store water for the resident. A possible alternative, if given the proper budget, around $1,000, would be a $1,035.26 house. This model is mostly the same as the initial model, except that it has more comforting aspects. This has insulation and drywall inside of the walls and the roof. And we used plywood to cover everything else that was not covered before. We used 3 foot by 2 foot windows, one above the front door and one immediately below the roof on the back of the house. Drywall was used to cover the interior wall, with the insulation rolled up and secured between the drywall and plywood of the walls and roof. Instead of using a bucket for water storage, we used a plastic sink to provide water storage for the residents. To provide nighttime lighting, we added a wall-mounted, battery-powered LED light.
Initially, when we started brainstorming for the $300 house challenge, we really had 2 ideas in mind. One of them, the initial idea was doing a rammed earth style of home. That would be us making forms for the walls and compacting the earth in a way that it would be structurally safe for us to build a structure. There's some pros and cons to that. After further research, we decided that the pros of that would be that the exterior finish would be really nice because you're able to see the different layers of the different soils and dirt that we're using, that we would use for the walls. That would be a good positive to that, but a negative for the rammed earth was that the walls, the forms that we would have to make for the walls are very expensive because we would have to make them out of wood, and due to COVID, the wood prices now are very high. Our second idea was using pallets. We're able to probably source them locally, maybe through a certain warehouse that doesn't use any pallets anymore, or that they're getting rid of, or we can buy them at a very low cost. And we decided that those would be better for us because we're able to stack them and manipulate them to make structurally sound walls. And then we're also able to tear them apart and use the individual planks as siding or something, or other tiny structures inside the home as well. Our process really started off with rough sketches, as shown in the poster here. We have the floor plan. Our design was given to us as a minimum of 7.5 by 7.5 feet, right around 65 square feet. So we wanted to keep that as small as possible to make sure that we had enough costs for everything else that we wanted to add as well. And with this, we also had the idea of making the front and back walls 2 different heights and giving us a sloped roof, kind of sloping down towards the back wall. that allows us to have different heights for the different walls. And then with that, we're able to use the excess cuts for different things in the house, like the bed and stand for the sink and things like that. But we started off with the SketchUp model at first, just to give us an idea of what the sloped roof would look like and the different heights of the walls as well. And then after that, we did move on to Revit, using Revit to make our house. And right here at the bottom, we can see a 3D view, the exterior renderings and the interior renderings as well, and still keeping that same 7.5 by 7.5 floor plan as well. Also, during the brainstorming process, we wanted to make sure that we could have a water solution if we did need one. So we could use the sloped roof and possibly add gutters if we did have a more lenient budget. Let's say maybe around $1,000 instead of $300. We could add gutters for rainwater. So as the rainwater comes down, it'll slope down into the roof and then come inside the home in maybe a bucket for some collection or something like that. And then obviously with a more lenient budget, we're able to add lights and maybe a sink, more comfortable bed, things like that. Maybe a bigger window as well, since a 1x1 window would be pretty small. Maybe a 2x2 window on top of the door instead of a 1x1. Overall, we did try and keep this under $300, but due to the prices of wood these days because of COVIDs and shortages and things like that, we were able to get right around $300, but if we did go over, it was because of the prices of wood.
I'm Miguel, and I was in charge of the Revit design. Here in the poster, you can see our quick SketchUp model and then a few samples of the Revit model. This is our floor plan. We were able to fit a small utility sink, table, and twin bed quite well in the small space. I believe the sink and table are 3 by 3 feet. So everything turned out pretty well. This is our section view. You notice that the roof starts at 6 feet and moves up to 9 feet. This works best with efficiency, as mentioned earlier. This also allows for the perfect amount of headroom for the bedside and the sink and table side. So the bedside has a 6-foot wall, which makes the best headroom for the individual because they will most likely be standing or laying down. And then on the sink and table side, they will most likely be standing. So that is why we have the 9-foot wall there. This is the elevation. This is our 3D view. And you can see just how cozy the space looks, especially in these renderings. My goal was to make it as aesthetically pleasing as possible with the little budget we had. I believe that the natural palette color looks really well with the black roof sealant, so it gives it a nice modern look. Something simple, not too complicated. And in these interior renderings, you notice that the window does offer enough natural light, so it doesn't look as cluttered. This project was a great learning experience filled with many challenges. Not only did those challenges offer new learning opportunities, but they encouraged our group to think outside the box. Through this assignment, we all gained an abundance of new skills that we could use in the professional world. Skills like Revit design, estimating costs, communication, leadership. We strongly believe that this project really pushed us to try to think how we could use our field and our minds to help solve social issues, in this case, homelessness. Our group truly believes that in our future careers, we'll return to this $300 project idea and make an effort to make it a reality. Thank you.